Hello and welcome to Whether or Not. We've got another great show lined up for you as we have Brian in the studio here to give you your forecast. And we've got an excellent feature by Veronica on winter precipitation. And speaking of that, our nature in the news stories have freezing fog and an explosive volcano. So sit back, relax, because Whether or Not starts right now. Hello, I'm your host, Marissa Lautenbacher.
And I'm your forecaster, Brian Mastro.
Well, Brian, we've been experiencing that famous State College Happy Valley fog. Will that go away in your forecast?
Yeah, it has been really foggy here this past week, and we even had some freezing fog. We'll have more on that in a minute during our Nature in the News. But as for the forecast, it does look like some of the fog, it will be clearing out into the start of our weekend. We'll have the full details later on in my forecast.
All right, and here are your Nature in the News stories.
Beijing issued its first ever red alert for pollution this past week as pollution levels in China's capital city rose. Smog levels proved dangerous, and the government is trying to show that they care and are trying to fix the problem. Chinese residents were quoted as saying that Beijing's air pollution is a major problem and one that has gone ignored for far too long. The World Health Organization classified Beijing's air as toxic, as some pollutants were well over 40 times the amount they are considered dangerous by the WHO. Beijing residents were warned by officials to not go outside and to relax on releasing pollutants into the air. While it will take a lot of work to fix China's pollution problem, this massive wake-up call hopefully is the first step in the right direction.
Even though the wet season has already started in California, it has still yet to experience a major rainstorm to put a dent in their water deficit. The drought is expected to continue into next year. The governor is preparing to extend the water restrictions into next fall. The emergency water regulations that were put into place last June called for urban water usage to be restricted by 25%. Any modifications to this restriction will depend heavily on how much rain actually falls until the month of March. Even if regulations are altered, many Californians are still urged to keep conserving water for the many months to come. The governor has also announced that new ideas and better water management projects are the top priority. These projects include the capture of rainfall from upcoming storms and permanent solutions to provide safe and clean water to households. There still is the chance of upcoming storms that will help the drought, but only 1 or 2 significant rainfall or snow events will not be enough to bust the drought.
Central Pennsylvania had the phenomenon known as freezing fog this past week. Freezing fog occurs when fog forms while temperatures are below freezing. The phenomenon is quite rare, especially here in central Pennsylvania. So rare, in fact, the local National Weather Service office thought they were not even able to issue a freezing fog advisory. The dense fog lingered around in central Pennsylvania for a few days, freezing onto some surfaces overnight. Freezing fog caused another phenomenon known as rime ice, creating a lovely scene in many locations around the region, as the rime coated the grass, trees, and cars. Stay tuned for the forecast to see if the skies will clear out and no more fog for this weekend.
Last week on Thursday, many Italian residents were treated with an amazing spectacle. The skies over Sicily lit up after Mount Etna's crater erupted for the first time in over 2 years. The nearby airports were closed in the morning and the weekend after as ash clouds filled the sky. It wasn't only the ash that caused the spectacle, but lightning from the clouds intermingled with the event. The eruption on Thursday began with short-lived explosions and outbursts of lava. It then intensified as ash and gases released plumed above the volcano to at least 4 miles into the sky. Mount Etna is the largest volcano in Europe, as it is one of the world's most active volcanoes. Originally, it was thought that the volcano was non-threatening to those who lived in its shadow because of its steady lava flow. Researchers have concluded that it is capable of highly explosive activities.
Hello, I'm Brian Mastro. We're going to take a look at your central Pennsylvania forecast. And we'll start by taking a look at our setup for your start of your weekend on Friday. We'll have this low pressure system sitting up just north of the Great Lakes region. And we'll have some rain showers up in the New England area and into southern Canada as well. And some rain showers behind this cold front in Michigan, Ohio, and Indiana. However, we'll be remaining dry here in State College. And we'll have some mild temperatures as well, as we'll be up into the mid-50s. So quite the contrast of what we had just earlier this week when it was foggy and we struggled to get out of the 30s. So it'll be a lovely start to your weekend. And then pushing ahead for your day on Saturday, we have another low pressure system setting up just south of the Great Lakes with some rain showers over the Great Lakes region. And we do have this warm front pushing through Pennsylvania, and that does bring a slight chance of a rain shower for us here in State College during the day on Saturday. However, we're not expecting anything too significant with that. And then pushing ahead for your day on Sunday, that low pressure system has become stationary over the Great Lakes region, and that warm front has pushed out of our area, leaving us with warm conditions here in State College as we could approach 60 degrees during the day on Sunday. And that is thanks to this high pressure system setting up off the Atlantic coast, and that will be bringing warm air with it with that southerly wind here into State College. So what are we actually looking at for this weekend? For your day on Friday, we'll have a high of around 56 degrees. So like I mentioned, quite the contrast to what we had just a few days earlier when we were down in the low 30s. And we'll have those partly cloudy skies for your day on Friday, so an excellent start to your weekend. And then going into Friday night, the temperature will drop down to 42 degrees, which might sound a little chilly. However, that is even above our average high for this time of year for the low Friday night under mostly cloudy skies. And then going ahead into your day for Saturday, we'll have a high temperature around 57 degrees under mostly cloudy skies. And like I mentioned, there is that slight chance of a rain shower. However, we're not expecting anything too significant, so it shouldn't be a total washout. And then going into Saturday night, that temperature does drop down to 47 degrees, which is nearly 15 to 20 degrees warmer than we just had as our highs earlier this week as our low temperature Saturday night. And once again, still under those mostly cloudy skies. And then going into your day for Sunday, we'll have that high temperature around 59 degrees under partly cloudy skies. A lovely end to your weekend, and it's definitely our pick of the weekend. It'll be a great day to get outside. That's all I have for you right now. So now we'll go over to Veronica with her feature on wintry precipitation.
As if predicting where, when, and how much snow could fall isn't hard enough, there are other forms of winter precipitation to predict as well. Several types of precipitation can occur during winter, such as rain, freezing rain, snow, and sleet. For significant amounts of precipitation to fall, there must be an adequate amount of moisture in the atmosphere. There also must be a way to lift this moisture so that it can turn into precipitation. All precipitation starts out as ice or snow crystals at cloud level. When this frozen precipitation falls into a layer of sufficiently warmer air with temperatures above freezing, it melts into rain. If this warm air extends all the way to the surface of the earth, rain will fall at ground level. Rain droplets that fall into a shallow layer of cold air near the Earth's surface can freeze upon contact with the ground, leaving a coating of glaze. This is known as freezing rain. Freezing rain most often occurs when mild, moist air moves over a cold polar or Arctic air mass near the Earth's surface. Lower elevations are often vulnerable to ice storms because cold, dense air will naturally settle into lower elevations. Freezing rain causes dangerous weather conditions for travelers. Rain can freeze on anything it contacts, including roads. Bridges and overpasses, which typically freeze quicker than other surfaces, are particularly hazardous to drivers. Power outages are also common in an ice storm. The weight of ice in freezing rain often brings down power lines and tree limbs. It occurs when the dashed green line representing the atmospheric temperature crosses the blue 32-degree Fahrenheit line and remains on the above freezing side through a large depth of the atmosphere. As a result, the snowflake completely melts before it encounters the thin below freezing layer at the surface. Sleet is frozen precipitation falling as ice pellets. Ice pellets occur when snowflakes melt into raindrops as they pass through a thin layer of warmer air. The raindrops then refreeze into particles of ice when they fall into a layer of sub-freezing air near the surface of the earth. In the figure, the dashed green line representing the atmospheric temperature briefly crosses the blue 32-degree Fahrenheit line, which indicates that part of the atmosphere is above freezing and causes the snowflake to partially melt before refreezing into a sleet pellet in the layer extending to the surface. This is the same type of situation that produces freezing rain. But freezing rain occurs when raindrops fall into subfreezing air that is so shallow the raindrops do not have time to refreeze into ice until they make contact with the ground. Sleet is different from hail. Sleet is a wintertime phenomenon. Hail usually falls from thunderstorms under completely different atmospheric conditions, and usually during the warm spring and summer months. Snow is frozen precipitation in the form of a six-sided ice crystal. Snow requires temperatures to be below freezing in all or most of the atmosphere from the surface to cloud level. Notice in the figure that the blue 32-degree Fahrenheit line is never crossed, which means that the atmospheric temperature, represented by the dashed green line, remains below freezing from the cloud to the ground. This allows the snowflake to fall without melting. However, snow can fall when surface temperatures are above freezing in a relatively shallow layer. In situations like this, the snow will not have time to melt before reaching the ground, though it will be quite wet with large flakes, the result of wet snowflakes sticking to one another. Generally, 10 inches of snow will melt into 1 inch of water. Sometimes the snow-to-liquid ratio can be much larger when snow falls into a very cold air mass and temperatures are 20 degrees or less at ground level. Geography is crucial along the East Coast in determining whether rain or snow will fall at a given location. The Atlantic Ocean is a source of moisture and mild air. When storm systems sweep up the coast, the counterclockwise flow of air around the low-pressure center results in an easterly component of wind at low levels of the atmosphere. For Whether or Not, I'm Veronica Dolan.
Thank you for that, Veronica. We'll take a look at your extended forecast right now, and we'll see if we will be dealing with any of that winter precipitation over the next week. We'll start by taking a look at that weekend recap. For your day on Friday, we'll have that high temperature around 56 degrees under those partly cloudy skies, dropping off to around 42 Friday night. And then going into your day for Saturday, we will have that high temperature around 57 with mostly cloudy skies. However, there's a slight chance of a rain shower, nothing major during the day on Saturday, before we cool down to 47 degrees Friday night. Then going into your day on Sunday, we'll have that high temperature of 59, dropping down to 48 under those partly cloudy skies. Definitely the pick of the weekend, an absolutely gorgeous day for your day on Sunday. Then looking at our extended forecast, on Monday is when the chance of rain does return here in State College. So make sure you do grab that umbrella if you're going out on Monday. And then the rest of the week, we'll just go back to partly cloudy skies for the rest of the week. However, that temperature trend is trending downward throughout the week next week, as we will start off up near 60 degrees and then drop down closer to our average temperature this time of year, which right now is in the upper 30s, which we've been having those lows overnight for this weekend actually be up higher than our average high this time of year.
So, Brian, thanks for that forecast, but we still haven't seen any snow yet since it is December. So when do you expect any snow to be?
Well, like we just saw, there's not going to be any snow within the weekend forecast or the extended forecast, so it could still be a little while before we do get our first measurable snowfall.
Well, speaking of snowfall, our Weather Whiz quiz question, what is the record for the latest measurable snowfall in a season for State College? Is it A, December 20th, B, January 1st, C, December 25th, or D, January 15th? If you guessed A, December 20th, you're correct. This actually occurred for the 1982 to 1983 season with a recording of 1.8 inches of snow. Well, we haven't received any snow yet, but...
Yeah, we're going to get pretty close to that record. It's coming up right now, just in a couple of weeks.
Yeah, it seems that we actually might break that record since it is been relatively warm lately. But that's all we have for now. I'm your host, Marissa Lautenbacher.
And I'm your forecaster, Brian Mastro. Have a great rest of your day.